All right, grown-ups, it's just our time. I love the babies, but to help you, I gotta speak my mind. This segment's here to help you grow with book reviews, lessons, and things you'll be glad to know. If your little one's restless or looking to play, send them to my other playlist. The read-alouds there will brighten their day. Hello, beautiful people. Welcome back to the Teacher Lady Show. Thank you for joining me for this episode of Behind the Book. I'm Miss Erica, the Teacher Lady, your fairy godparent when it comes to sharing joyful stories and growing young minds. Now, every single week on this show, we have a different topic. And this week's topic is pretty serious. We are talking about consent and boundaries. We want our children to understand that their bodies are their own and nobody should be invading that personal space, okay? And of course, we're using picture books to be able to do so. Now, this week's topic is consent, and the book we're featuring this week is Yes Means Yes. If you have not done so, be sure to check out the Read Aloud First, which aired on Monday over on the Teacher Lady Reads playlist, and then come right back here for this Behind the Book review. On this segment, we will be going over the glows, what I think was done really well, the grows, what I think could have been done differently, who this book is for, and how do you use it as a resource to have the conversations with your child around consent. All in this episode of Behind the Book, where we go beyond the pages to get to the heart of the story. Summary in my own words. Yes Means Yes is an introduction to consent. It's a very simple book that lets children know what's okay and what's not okay when it comes to people's body. Take home message and target age group. So the take-home message would have to be that we deserve to decide how people interact with us. We deserve to say what is comfortable and what is uncomfortable, and nobody should be able to disagree with that, okay? Because it's our body, it is up to us. In terms of target age group, I would say about 4 years old, even 3, I feel like we'll start to understand these concepts. It's a very simple laid out message. And so you can definitely go younger with this book. Who this book is for. This book, I would say, is for children who are learning. So you're thinking like preschool, young children who struggle with respecting other people's space, which feels like every child nowadays. But I also think that it's a good resource for parents who feel like because it's a child, it's not a big deal. You should be able to pinch their cheeks or grab them and give them a hug and things of that nature, because this book also addresses that. So if you have a school library, if you have a bunch of children around you, a classroom library, I definitely think this is a good resource to have as an introduction to consent. Glows. The one glow that I really appreciated about this book were the different characters and the different way in which they interacted. And so you have the example of a girl wanting to touch this other girl's hair, which is typical. And, her saying like, I don't like that. And you have the example of a grandfather wanting to give a hug to his granddaughter, but she was uncomfortable. And so all of these different examples make it clear what consent is and what it means. And I really appreciated that. I also really like that in the back of the book, there is an actual picture of the author and the illustrator with the question, can I have a hug? And then their real photo saying yes. I just thought that that was a cool little addition and really special, because after you look at all the cartoons, you get a real life example of what consent could mean. My other glow was really the fact that there were no exceptions. Everybody should be making sure that you are comfortable in your body, and you should be the one to make those decisions. Doesn't matter if it's your parents, a teacher, a friend, so on and so forth. So I really enjoyed that that was made clear. Grows. There are a few things that I think could be a little bit misleading or confusing. At the end of the book, there's a girl and the mom says, "Can I have a hug?" And the girl says yes. Now, I believe that there comes a point to where you can just be affectionate with your child and let them say if they don't want to hug that day. So like with my daughter, I'll go and I'll hug and kiss her goodbye. But if she steps back or she says no, thank you, or she's upset with me and that's not how she wants to interact, it's completely respected. But I think it becomes a bit overboard when every time we go to hug our child, we say, "Do you want a hug? Can I have a hug?" Like, it becomes a lot. And I think sometimes those lines get muddy. The core of consent is making sure that that person feels comfortable. So if it's a situation of mother and daughter, husband and wife, what have you, it's pretty okay to assume that that is how you guys interact, unless that child tells you otherwise. I never want consent to feel like you can't just exist. I instead want there to be a mindfulness of how you're interacting with that person, because there are telltale signs that will let you know whether or not they're uncomfortable. So that was, a bit much for me. I also feel like once you build kind of a routine or a system or something is normal for you and that friend, it is okay, again, unless you say otherwise. So I just think sometimes the examples get a bit confusing. The other girl that I would have is the layout of the kind of dialogue that is taking place between multiple characters. Because the pictures are in like comic style bubbles, it can be confusing to figure out where to read first. And for very young children, being able to understand the order of these sentences is going to be crucial in not only learning about consent, but also learning about how to read. So when we talk about fluency, when we talk about phonemic awareness and word recognition, the way in which words are laid out for those beginning readers are going to be essential. Discussion points to have with your child. It's going to be really important that you talk to your child and that they understand what is okay and what is not okay when it comes to personal touch. I would also have the conversation just generally about what consent is and what boundaries are and what to do if those boundaries are broken. I would also better understand how my child receives affection. Not every single child wants to hug or kiss, and some are completely fine with it. So all of these are easy ways to start having the conversation. The conversation is never easy because we are talking about your literal body and what feels good and what is okay. But I do think that this book is beginner friendly enough that it can start and spark those conversations. What are some things that your child let happen to them that they're actually not okay with and they're uncomfortable with? And what are ways in the future that we can change that so that it does not happen again? These are some of the discussion points you want to have when you are talking to your child about consent. For more, definitely check out Friday's episode because we're doing a deep dive. Final thoughts. Overall, excellent effort. I really do appreciate having this book as a resource to start having conversations around what feels comfortable and what does not feel comfortable. If you have not done so, be sure to check out the Read Aloud on this book, as well as the Teacher Lady Speaks episode, which airs on Friday. I am also an author and illustrator and want to encourage you to check out my work, okay? As well as something called the Empathy Library, which is an effort to get books to children in need on purpose at no cost to them that are also intentional. So we want those books to reflect the children that are receiving them. So go on the website, poke around, listen to a book, leave a comment. Thank you so much for learning with me, for growing with me, and for being part of this book-loving community. Until next time, you remember to enjoy the moment or go be a joy in the moment. Bye.